out of their head. So even if you help someone with obsessions about food, you've come a long way, and they'll feel greatly relieved just to feel more normal about their thoughts. Because people who are obsessing or having compulsive behavior, they feel out of control. And if you can help with the obsessions, the obsessions are threatening to them, and they can't control them. It's like unbidden thoughts in any obsession. So any OCD behavior, obsessive compulsive behavior. How would you spend your time if you didn't eat compulsively, or if you didn't obsess about food anymore? And that's an interesting question, because they'll say, I never thought about that. Well, if they added up the hours and the minutes that they were truly focused on food, focused on alcohol, is there enough beer? Is there going to be enough there? Is the house stocked? People are very anxious about supply. If they weren't doing that, where would they be? And some of them, they would be anxious about their marriage that's falling apart. Some of them would say, the deeper childhood issues, and other people would say, I'm afraid of success, and I don't want to take my business where I believe it can go. So again, there are many directions that it can go. Now, the most important, I think, the two questions, and Alan was touching on these. What is the downside of losing weight? And what is the upside of remaining overweight?
Hold that thought. There's a kind of a pop going on. Why don't you try this just for a second? Just test it.
So as I said, the questions were... Oh, okay.
So why don't we just try that?
Okay.
That's a problem.
So what is the downside of losing weight, and what is the upside of remaining overweight? And some people will say, oh, Carol, that's so obvious. Or quit smoking. That's so obvious. Don't you know what's wrong with smoking? And yes, I know what's wrong with smoking. So do you. What is the upside of quitting or losing or changing? And they'll tell you strange insights come out, but that's what you want. You want to hear what they have to say about what would happen if I reached my goal weight. What would happen if I quit smoking? I had a client who said she was a graduate student at NYU, and she said, I wouldn't know what to do with my hands. And I laughed and thought, that's not a big deal. For her, that was everything. Socially awkward, afraid, didn't feel close to her peer group, and she didn't know what to do. So when she got over that with tapping, it changed her belief system. Yes, I can do it. I can live without smoking. The upside of remaining overweight, people will say, well, I won't have any excuses anymore. Or that would be the downside. If I stay overweight, people will leave me alone. I won't have any excuses anymore. Whatever, you'll get all sorts of responses to that, which is very important. Now, when I have this list of questions, I make sure I cover them in the first session or two and just get the data. But be careful not to be too rigid. When I worked at Freedom Institute, which was an outpatient facility for addictions in New York, we had an intake form that was about 10 pages, and beginning counselors, myself included, we'd go through every single question, not pay any attention to the client, right? It was trying to get the data for our boss, and it was ridiculous. There was no engagement with the client, and that's what you want. You need to engage with the client. So forget about the data. Get the data, but you will. Kind of trust that you will. Otherwise, you can end up being missing the person and what's going on. Look for and treat the following emotional themes. Now, the list on the bottom of page 1, just look at those and circle ones for yourself that really trigger a response now, and then you can tap on those later or tap on them as we go through this class. Deprivation. Deprivation seems to be a big one for the food. Now, when I do quit smoking, loss comes out more often. Now, some of you may have it absolutely reversed. Have an experience that's different. But with deprivation, that seems to ring many, many bells for people. And they say, oh, so I have them tap even though I feel deprived. And I'm insatiable. That's the other thing. People will tell you, I feel insatiable, and I am insatiable. They cannot fill the hole, the emptiness, the loneliness, and that's what makes them feel nuts. They feel bizarre. How can I keep eating when I'm physically at my limit? What am I doing?